Good afternoon. Here, where I am, it's afternoon anyway. It says we're live, and I'm waiting to see when you all find me. Huh, my goodness. I hope everybody's starting to feel a little bit better than some of you were talking about in the comments. I see. Hello, Lisa. You're the first one I see, girl. Good to see you. And Catherine, greetings. I see more people than I can actually see. Hey, RG. Hey, hey, hey. Wowee. Tell you what. I don't know what's going on the live or on the comments, but I knew I had to come on here quick. Hello, Monia, I'm not sure how to say it. Cynthia, good day to you. And Aaron, Janie, hey. Misty, hey, RG. Catherine, Lori. Hi, Lori. And hi, Lori. Patty Lynn. Okay. I am not sure what's going on because the energies are not big right now. I'm not sure what's going on with everyone. I will tell you this, though. There are so many things going on in our world right now. Aaron, I'm doing great. I'm doing great, except for I got fired up and concerned for all of you all when I saw the comments. So many of the comments people were making, not everyone, but there was a bunch. I was ready to come call the ambulance for them. I was so shocked by the things that were being said. And you know, sometimes things can feel so huge when you're in the middle of them that they can look a lot bigger than maybe what they actually are. And let me tell y'all something. I want you to listen real good, okay? Touch your heart here. And like my mentor, Brother Littlefield, used to say, you have a little door to your heart. Open it up right now. I'm going to talk straight into your heart. Get ready. Take a deep breath. These energies should not be making anyone feel like they're going to die. No one should feel like they're on the edge of death. Okay? This is not like that. This is sort of like when you do Qigong or when you do a corrective movement, like I learned one time in physical therapy years and years ago. Your body is not going to lean you and move you in a way where you fall. These energies are not going to bring us to the point where we are literally harmed. That is not the purpose of them. That is not what's going on here. We may be pushed into kind of a crisis zone. We may experience intense emotions, and we may come up against things that have been blocking us in our soul and in our body, our energies and everything for years. And it may cause a collision, a conflict, or a time that feels like a crisis, like a healing crisis. But people were talking about feeling like they were going to die, saying that they were in so much pain they were screaming. This is not supposed to be happening with these energies. Okay? Now, sometimes we can get caught up in the moment and maybe say more than we meant to. It may not be as accurate as it could have been. I don't know in this case. But I'll be honest with you, I rarely suggest anyone go see a physician. I'm not saying go to a medical doctor, but if that's what you go to, then you need to go to a medical doctor. If you're to that point that you think you're going to die, or you're in so much pain, you're screaming, then go get help. I say go to a physician. I go to alternative doctors. When I go, I had a wonderful doctor who crossed over early last year, and I talked about it on here, but many of you didn't know me at that time. His name was Dr. Linnell, and all the other doctors around, the chiropractors and alternative physicians, called him Yoda. He was amazing. His idea of a fun weekend was flying to the West Coast from the East Coast to go to more training. He was continually learning. He had so many degrees. He had 5 earned doctorates, as well as all kinds of other degrees and certifications and different modalities. That's the kind of doctor I like going to, someone who can do a holistic approach. If you don't have someone like that in your life, start looking for them and know that source will bring you to the right one. You may have to keep your eye out for a little while. But if you're feeling that way and that bad, then you need to go get another opinion. These energies should not cause that. And I wrote a little something on there, and I don't know how many of you read it, but let me just read it to you real quick. I was feeling so, I'm an empath, just like many of you all are, and I could feel the anxiety and fear coming off of some of the words being spoken, and I was alarmed. I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm kind of like a mama bear, and I'm like, no, this isn't happening to this tribe. This isn't happening to us. You can come into a point of agreement, and when you come into agreement and oneness about something, you can create stuff, positive or negative. So we want to share about what we're going through, because no one should feel alone as they're going through things. But we cannot get into a despair, misery mode and draw others into it with us, because at that point, you can create things that you don't want. And I don't talk about this kind of stuff much because for many of you, you know all about it, but for some of you, it's a bit heavy, but words have power. When you write, it's called spelling. Words are spiritual, whether they're written or spoken. The Bible says that. One scripture out of the Old Testament says, life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those that love it will eat the fruit from it. What we say is powerful. What we think is powerful. There's another scripture that says, as a man thinks, or a woman, as a man thinketh, so is he. In other words, what you think about, that is who you become. Who you hang out with, what they talk about. It's a funny thing I was taught in business. Your 8 closest friends, their income level will become, the average of it will become yours. That's how much being around people influences us and the levels we go to or we go down to. There's another scripture that says, bad morals corrupt people. But the opposite is true too. People who are filled with life and love and are positive and are just oozing good, when you're around people like that, you become like them too. And yes, We go through times of suffering in our lives. I've been through a little of that. I'm not a novice. I'm 64 years old. That just sounds odd to me, but I'm embracing it. Numbers don't mean a lot to me in a lot of ways. I have nearly died so many times, but I am still here. I have had God ask me, are you ready to come home yet? And I considered it. And the last time was probably about 6 years ago, and I said no. I want to do more to help humanity. I want to do more to touch people here in this sometimes very dark, confusing place where we walk, we look through a glass darkly. I chose to stay here for this. You know what I'm saying? Let's choose life. Let's choose love. I'm trying to see what someone said here. It just sort of popped up in front of me, but it's well, being able to feel what's coming, Christopher, is no reason to be put in a mental hospital. I certainly have that. And I know many people on here do. We can feel when the energies are shifting and moving. And Aaron, I'm glad you're a part of us. I'm not a loner per se, I'm more of a hermit. Which is sort of the same thing. I visit with people. I love being with people. But I treasure my alone time when I'm able to really just think about and go into the places that I need to go into. That artists tend to be like that too. We love people, but we gotta have our alone time, you know? Erin, thank you. She says, I'm glad you're still here. Thank you. I sometimes wish I had not decided to stay. When things get really tough, I'm like, darn it, why didn't I go? Thank you. Greta, are you talking to me there? I know I have a mother type thing on me now, which is a funny thought for me. But my mentor, Brother Littlefield, he had a father thing on him that was just... When he was like 87, there was a woman that was in his church. He was a pastor, but not one like you've ever seen before. And she was in her 90s, and she said he was like a father to her. Age doesn't really matter, but it helps, you know. Annette says, love from Denmark, stay grounded and drink a lot of water. Think positive and learn from your feelings. Deep breath work. It's an upgrade going on, yes. Another thing I want you all to realize, there's nothing to fear from these energies. I've seen people say erroneous things like, I'm not going out in the sun today, or I'm wearing sunglasses to protect me from the sun. Now, you may have some particular thing about your own eyes that you wear sunglasses for, but I'll tell you this, I've never worn sunglasses but once in a blue moon, just for the fun of it. Why? Well, because I want to see everything. But also, I just don't like it. Something in me says, I need that light coming right in my eyes. Do you know how these rays get to your pineal gland, which is back in here? Through the sun coming right in your eyes. And if you wear sunglasses, and someone may challenge this, but I've read scientific things on this. If you wear sunglasses that are just in the front, sun sneaks in the side and it cuts in and hits your eye in a way it was not prepared for. And that can actually cause you trouble. Another thing is, if you wear sunglasses all the time, you're going to be more prone to have cataracts when you're older. I'm 64. I have friends who have had cataract surgery already. Mine are fine, thank goodness. I'm glad, but I never wear sunglasses. I believe the sun is good for us. Clearly, to me, it's like a no-brainer. It's up there. It's sending these frequencies, these codes to us. You know, when you're prone to cancer, you tend to be low in vitamin D. Well, guess what you get from the sun? The sun on your skin literally causes you to produce and assimilate vitamin D. God knew what he was doing when he set everything in motion. And I am not for them blocking the sun. Absolutely not. It's insane. I am for letting nature do what nature does and working with nature, not against it. I am for working with our bodies, not against it, not trying to combat everything, but finding balance and wholeness. Now, there's nothing to fear from the sun. Now I wouldn't say go out and become a sun gazer and stare at the sun. No, I've never done that. I have no confidence in that myself, but I know people who do, but there's a specific way they do it. Don't just, know what you're doing and be fully convinced about whatever you do. Now, sun, I am very fair. You can tell I have freckles everywhere. Can you see them? They're everywhere. They're on my arms, freckles every place. And they've been there since I was a little bitty kid. I used to call them frinkles, and my brothers laughed at me really hard. So, I don't go out in the sun and get burnt to a crisp on purpose. But I'm not afraid of the sun. I might wear a big brimmed hat, but I don't put sunblock on unless I'm in Florida and I really need it. So, y'all, let's all take a deep breath and relax. You ready? Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. In we go. Ready? Now, you feel that sort of centering thing that happens. Let's do it a couple more times, and I want you to take in that beautiful breath of life and then just release whatever is bothering you. You ready? Just let it go. In we go. Now, shake it off. Little qigong. Brush it off of you. Get it off. Shake it off. Now let's breathe in again. And release. And smile real big. Everything is going to be okay. Yes, we live in volatile times. That's what I would call it. Quickly changing. That's volatile, shifting all the time. But that's okay. We were born for this. You were born for this. If you were born an empath where you feel everybody's stuff, there's a reason for that. There's something like a superpower that if you discover it, you can make a real impact for the good in this world. Many of you already have. If you were born with a super sensitive system that can feel the energies incoming, you know what? That's not just for nothing. There's something for you to do here with those abilities. If you don't already know what it is, choose to find it. If you feel the energies coming in and they toss you into a tumble, realize that there's something inside that needs to be tweaked and adjusted, and begin to move in that direction. You know the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The same thing, when you're ready to know, the knowledge will come to you. But you must decide you want that. You must decide you don't want to just feel a bunch of symptoms that throw you head over heels and create chaos in your life. You got to get to the place where you say, I am ready for the answers now. Knowing that whatever happens in this process is going to be a part of making me into who I could and can be. If you've been through a lot of trauma in your life, if you come from an abusive family system, if you suffered a lot of illness as a young child, if you have been abused as an adult, got into some really bad negative relationships, or whatever it is, if you were born with certain difficulties, like a golfer may have handicaps, like however you want to look at it, there's a purpose in those things. Some of the greatest people in history had a lot on their plate that wasn't working for them to make their life easy. Matter of fact, almost all the saints that we call saints in all different types of religious and belief systems, those who were champions, all of them had difficult lives, up at least to a point. This is a fact. If they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, if they were born to a wealthy family, there was something else they had to deal with. You know, we all have our stuff, and all of it is specifically, how do we put this, engineered in a sense to bring us to the place of our destiny. So never yield to hopelessness or to despair, ever. We all have our stuff we've got to go through. A person who's had a life that's way too easy will be prone to be weak if they ever face something difficult, and no doubt they will. You build up muscle by resistance. I'm going to do something just to cause a row. All right, I showed this to you before. You ready? Look at my muscle. I have never had one like this in my whole life. My friends tease me because I show them this. Can you see it? I'm 64. And I have the most pronounced bicep I've ever had in my whole life. And I'm sure there's several factors going into that. Some technology I've discovered. But there's more to it. We're all experiencing unique things now. But if you want muscles, you got to do something. You've got to experience something that pulls and causes those muscles to have to assert themselves. That's the same way we often get strength in our lives. And you know, it sounds like a paradox, but one of the most powerful ways that you can get strength in your life on a spiritual level is by having to learn to stop. There are young men who have been under my mentorship. The hardest thing they could do was be quiet, or be in a quiet place without television or music or chatter or constant activity. One of them, he couldn't sleep at night. He played white noise, he did everything, and he could not sleep at night. He couldn't stand the silence because it was too filled with stuff, talking to him and so forth. Well, after he was with me a while, and I taught him some things, he now can sleep. He got to the place he could sleep all night for the first time he remembers in his whole life. He was under my mentorship really from the time he was like 18 until he was, I guess, about 26. And during that time, he started out not being able to sleep at all. One of the greatest things you can do to strengthen yourself is to learn how to be silent. It doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be an active something you're doing to build those muscles. Sometimes it's what you learn not to do. Sometimes it's learning how to breathe deeply and not be in a state of hyperventilation because of our accelerated lifestyle. Sometimes it's learning to be quiet instead of chattering all the time. One of the most famous healers that reached real popularity in my lifetime, an amazing gift. You could be in a meeting with this man and thousands of people would be healed just sitting where they were, period. Nobody did anything with them. But when he was younger, a man who was his mentor took him out into the woods, way out in the woods away from everything. And this guy was like, where are we going? What are we doing? He couldn't shut up. What's happening? Why are you taking us out here? Why are you taking me out here? And the man said, just relax. There's a purpose. He got him out in the middle of nowhere in a serious wilderness forest. And while this young man was yapping away, panicking, freaking out, maybe there's bears, maybe there's, he couldn't shut up. His mentor walked away. He didn't even see him go because he was too busy being frantic. And suddenly he realized no one was answering him and he was alone. He freaked out. He started screaming in the woods. And when his mentor walked back, he said, I was just right over there. I was watching you. You were safe. And he was just panicking. And the mentor said, you've got to learn to be quiet. You've got to learn to not always be running ahead and running your mouth and being noisy. That is one of the toughest things for some people to do. That will build a whole different kind of muscle, so to speak, in you. One of the greatest disciplines that will set you free is to watch what comes out of your mouth. People say things because that's the way their mama and their daddy talked. That's the way their grandma talked. Have you ever heard the old story talking about how people just do what their family's always done? About the mother who, when she got married, she needed a roast pot, to cook a roast in. And she tried to get the biggest one she could find, but it wasn't quite big enough, she thought. And she did it. She knew that her mother's roast pot had the end cut out. Both ends. And so she had the end cut out on both of the ends of her roast pot. And that was just the way it was done. And one day, I think it was her granddaughter said to her, why have you got the ends knocked out of your pot, your roast pot here? And she said, well, Mama's was like that. And her mama's was like that. I just thought that was what was needed. And they asked the grandmother, who was still living, and she said, honey, the reason I did that is because my roast pot was too small. But yours is plenty big. We do stuff, and we don't even know why we're doing it. We're just on automatic. You know what I mean? Not thinking. We're just plunging ahead, doing what's always been done, the way we've known it's always been done. There was a day in the 90s, I stood up in a meeting, and I've always been known to be a little bit prophetic, and mystic and all that kind of stuff. And I was allowed to stand up, and I stood up and I said, this is what I said. What I was hearing for myself and for everyone there, question everything you've ever believed. Because just because somebody like your mama or your daddy or someone in authority over you said it does not mean it's really true. You need to know for yourself what is true. I don't mean go into a spiral, lose your mind and forget what's up and down. I mean make it your own. I'm still doing this. You know, have you ever sat in a room and looked at a tile floor with an intricate design and you see a pattern in it that looks like a face? You know, it's tough after that to not see the face. To be able to actually just see the whole pattern. And that's what happens to us. People around us, the way it's always been, the way we've been taught, even by people we really respect, love, and look up to, they were not always right. Sometimes you have to break free and look and say, let me look at the whole pattern. Let me see, is that really true? Just because somebody said it, you know, you can have mass hysteria. You can have a whole group of people believing something because somebody told them to, and when the thing that they said was happening, some sort of miracle or something didn't happen, they just said it did. And they all told each other it did, but you know, it wasn't working. Somebody needed to put on the brakes and stop and say, wait, this is not the way. We need to look a little more. I do not want to believe a lie. And I'm fired up today. I guess I am. When I saw all the suffering and misery in those comments, I thought, oh my God, help me. This is horrible. This is horrible. This can't go on. That's not what we want. These energies are not here to destroy us. They are here to help us. Yes, they can make us uncomfortable for a while. But no, nobody should be screaming. If you're screaming, no doubt it's very real, whatever's going on with you, but no, it's not the energies. And I did mention, I was going to read something and I never got around to it. Sometimes, if you have autoimmune diseases, you know, what in the world? Huh. Okay, here we are. If you have an autoimmune disease, they tell me I have a bunch of them. But you know what? I have found if I hold it in the middle of the road, and if I'm thinking right, and if I'm paying attention, sometimes you have to say, no, I'm going to rest today. Sometimes you have to say, no, I'm not going to hear that. I'm not going to think that. You have to take authority over yourself, as well as who you let speak into your life. Because everything is important. And balance is really important. They told me, I mean, years ago, I had such severe fibromyalgia that it was pulling my bones out of place, making my arms and everything numb and burning, and my cranium would go out of place. They call it a cranial fault. Many times a day, maybe up to 15 a day. I couldn't go to a holistic healer, chiropractor with CAK, Certified Applied Kinesiology. I couldn't go to somebody every day. I had to learn to do it myself. So I learned how to do muscle testing by myself. So this morning I actually had one out. First time, it's been a while, and how I touch it, I will become weak. But this takes time to train yourself, okay? But I trained myself because I needed to come out of that place, and I did all the things that I could learn. I thought outside the box, and I dealt with me and let the healing happen inside. And I've mentioned this before, memories have come back to me in the last year and a half or so that are horrible. Yeah, when you've been through something bad enough, it walls those memories off so you can survive. No, I'm not a lightweight. I have not had an easy life, but you cannot make me despair. Why? Because I know that's a lie. There is always hope. There's always hope. And like I was saying earlier, learn to watch the words coming out of your mouth. How about this one? Oh my gosh, that's killing me. Is that what you want? Don't say it then. It isn't called spelling and the different words that go with our languages. There's a bunch of them. It shows the power that is in words. Don't say it if you don't want it. Don't say, I'm going to die. Or don't say, I hate you. Don't talk bad to yourself. Don't say, you idiot. Don't do it. Why? Because every single thing, even rocks, are filled with light and energy and vibration. It may look solid, but it's made up of tiny particles that are vibrating really fast. And you know what these particles respond to? Frequencies. You know what their favorite thing to respond to? The human voice. Spoken words. Don't say to your body, you piece of junk. You know, you're always sick. Don't say that stuff. I cancel my own words now. Even though that was just an example. I take this very seriously. Don't even speak to your car and tell it it's a piece of junk. It's made of tiny vibrating things too that respond to our words. You know, I've seen the video where it was done somewhere in an Asian country. They actually allowed these little teams, like a team of 3 people, I think it was, to go into their hospital. And someone had a cancerous tumor, and they had it, you know, on the screen, being scanned at that moment live. And these people came in, and they began to speak words together to that tumor and to that human body. And they spoke them together in agreement with intensity. They started slow and amplified, up, up, up. And at the end of, I think it was like 4 minutes, you could see as they were going along, the tumor was shrinking. And by the end of it, it was gone. Words and intentions are awesomely powerful, to the positive and to the negative. Now granted, there's some people when they speak, there's a lot of punch to it. There's some people that open their mouth and there's not a lot of kick to it. But sometimes there is when you don't want it to be. So I want y'all to really hear what I'm saying. I'm not talking la la land, frou-frou out there nowhere, okay? I'm not just saying what somebody else has said. I'm talking to you about what I have learned and that I know. I am someone, I don't use the same thing. I let the oneness I have with God, you can call him Source, you can call him Heavenly Mother, Father, whatever you want. This is the awesome one that we are one with and we came from. I let this awesome one, when you see me write love, L-O-V-E in caps, I'm talking about this one. I understand I'm one with this one. I have been in heavenly places and have stood in this one. My eyes were in his eyes. My lips were in his lips. Hands in his hands. And I say his. Don't let that offend you. Just, I can't translate all the time into the going thing. I've got to be real. So when I lay hands on somebody, when I'm praying and healing, I don't just lay my hands on. I know that the Master, Jesus' hands, are in me and in my hands. He's in me. I'm in him. And I lay the hands of the creator of the universe on that person. And I have seen tumors the size of a fist disappear in about 4 minutes that way. No joke. Replaced with perfect, brand new, baby-like skin. I'm not just whistling Dixie. I'm not playing games. I'm not saying what everybody else says. I'm telling you what I know. And it's been a hard time coming. And a lot of you can relate to that. Okay, I'm going to read it finally. Ready? I wrote this in response. I said, please, everyone relax and calm down. These energies should not make you feel like you're dying or like you can't stand it from the pain, etc. Please also be aware that sometimes people come on here and throw out bait to see how many people will come into agreement with them. I don't believe any of these today fit in that category. Let me just make that real plain. But just understand that. And some people don't know what spirit they're of. Something could be operating through them. To throw something out there, I mean, once you throw out something with a real whack, and all these people come into agreement, it becomes like, not a trickle, it becomes a rushing water that can pull a lot of people through. Words are powerful. And I put, this is not okay. This is a place for sincerity and community. And that means love, treating one another with love. Sometimes I don't tell you all what's going on with me because I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to even insert things like that into you. I don't want you to be worried about me. I want you to be hearing and knowing and flowing forward in your own life. I deal with my own stuff, and you all support me as I go through it. You do it through your love. You do it through so many ways, and I appreciate you so much. Now, when I went through the car accident and got hit from behind and really messed me over, I laid it bare and let you know what was going on with me. And you were so kind. You were so very kind. I can't describe how much it means to me. But if I had told you how bad I really felt, I think it would have been more discouraging than anything. So sometimes love is in what you say and what you don't say. Sometimes it's in don't take off and blow this thing out of proportion. Say the truth, but you don't have to exaggerate or make the worst that it can be. That will discourage people many times. I don't believe there's anyone on this thread that's like that right now, I wrote, and I believe that. Don't be drawn into some sort of a suffering festival. That can create real suffering. It's not what we want. None of us want that. We're powerful beings made in the image of Source Creator, and we create things with our thoughts and our feelings and our words, etc. Choose life. This is an action inside us. We choose life. We choose love. We choose hope. And we disdain despair. Despair says, I don't believe there's anything good out there. Despair says, there's no one that really loves me. Despair says, we're not one with Source or Creator. Despair goes against everything that is true at the deepest roots. The divine intervention that is there for those who embrace it receive it, and hope in it. The angelic intervention is for the same. Okay? It's important. We are made in the image of our source creator, and we create things with our thoughts, our feelings, our words, etc. And we choose life. And I say, do you choose life? Choose love. Choose hope. Choose whatever it is you need. Know that it will come to you. It will come to you. That's the way this world is made. Those are the laws put in place. And don't let yourself get caught up in a misery fest. If you're suffering that much, you need to go see a physician. And don't feel ashamed if you need to go see a physician. Do what you need to do, what you feel in your heart you need to do. If you already have problems like autoimmune issues and things like that, yes, these energies can trigger more symptoms sometimes, and by getting upset about it and getting into fear will only make it harder. That is the truth. So let's stay in a place of love and hope and encouragement to the best of our ability. I am not afraid. But some of the comments I've seen on here today have alarmed me, and that is absolutely true. I call a couple of friends of mine that come into agreement with me, who are powerful spiritually. And we covered this. We spoke over this. We blew shofars over this. There's power in that frequency. We prayed about this. We sent blessings out to you all. I mean, I don't take this stuff lightly. I'm grateful for friends to stand with me. Now, but don't expect to be purified by some horrible suffering and pain. You hear me? I used to believe that kind of stuff. You know what it got me? Horrible suffering and pain. There is another way. There is a better way. The Master came and he said, he didn't say you're all a bunch of good-for-nothing wicked sinners and you're all going to hell. He didn't say that. You know what he said? If you've seen me, you have seen Source. And what did he show us? Love. He took that poor woman caught in adultery, and I'm like, oh, where was the man? It takes two to get in that trouble. But there was this poor woman, a bunch of religious people were going to stone to death, and the Master showed up and said, he started writing in the sand. And we don't know what he wrote. Some scriptures, some other books from back when say that he wrote the names of those religious people and sins that they themselves were into. And amazingly, all the people dropped their rocks that they were going to kill that poor woman with in their self-righteousness. They dropped the rocks. And they went away. And suddenly Jesus, the Master, is left with this poor woman that's laying there, was getting ready to die. And he says to her, "Lady, where are your accusers?" They seem to be gone. And that's what she said. They're gone, Master. They're gone. And he told her, go and don't do this anymore. All this is forgiven. He showed love. He told us that there's no enmity between us and our Creator. That was a lie. And if there's a debt, which this enemy required a debt, he paid it. It's all gone now. We are one with Creator. We're one with Source. We're one with Spirit. We're one with love. That's the good news. We don't need to suffer. You don't need to suffer. You don't need to pay for anything. Yes, there is karma. What you sow, you will reap. but sometimes grace and mercy move in and lift you right out of it. And I'm all for that. I am not for pain and suffering. I used to be. I used to think that was the way to go. It was very religious of me, but I didn't know any better. Now I understand. The bottom line is, the Master also said this, if you can believe it, you can have it. All things are possible to those who believe. It's very simple, but we got to wrap our brains around it, because deep inside almost all of us, we think we got to work to get everything, but we don't. This is the mystery. This is the amazing good news. This goes against the lie that we have suffered through for millennia, the human race. Bottom line is, we're not separated from our source and our creator. And everything that source has is available to us. So, like I say, I lay my hands knowing that that awesome one is, I'm one with that one. I lay that one's hands in my hands on that person, and tumors have disappeared like that. Size of a fist, gone in minutes. I've seen amazing things, and y'all heard me talk about. It was my ex-husband. He was in a serious car accident. They found him, he was dead. There was no sign of life. It took them quite a while to cut him out of this car. He was crammed underneath the dash, and he was a 6-foot tall man. He wasn't little. They could not resuscitate him. They flew him by helicopter to the biggest hospital around, and he was pronounced dead on arrival. They put him on life support to save his organs. But you know what? Despite all that, it's good when I'm dumb. I'm very prone to being dense and dumb and out of it, kind of dingy. His dad had told me, because my husband, my ex, and I were already divorced at this point. His dad said, Mark has been in a terrible car accident. The doctors are not giving us much hope. He's in a deep, deep coma. Well, I believed that. And when I saw him in the middle of this huge freezing cold room with equipment lined around the walls, and Mark laying on a gurney with a couple of spotlight stand lights looking on him and life support, and a tube, 6-inch long tube with a cord on it drilled into his forehead. His face was like a mask. It was flat. His nose, his cheeks, everything were the same level. His eyes were black from the trauma. His face was hanging on his shoulders. It was horrible, but I was in get it done mode. I showed up. I didn't know what I was there to do, but I knew I was to do something. I'd met with my mentor before I went, and we had committed Mark to God. And I was just there to tell him some good news and just be there. Well, to cut it short, I held his hand every time I went. I went 3 times. And I spoke to him about the love of God. Talked to him about how we all loved him. We were all praying for him. And the 3rd day, they had told Mark's parents they were going to take him off life support, and they wanted him to sign the paper to release all his organs, because his organs were in good shape for transplant. I said at the last minute, we were getting ready to leave, I said, Mark, listen. I had a hold of his hand. His father was standing on the other side of him. I said, listen, they're going to unplug you tomorrow morning. I don't think you're ready for that. I thought he was in a coma. Ding, 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 ding. It's a good thing I probably didn't know. I may have been really intimidated by that. I mean, horrible brain damage coma is bad enough. That's what made the swelling they tell me about his head. Okay, I had Mark's hand. I said, listen, if you don't show some sign of being in there, they're going to unplug you tomorrow. I don't think you're ready for that. I said, listen, we don't have a lot of time. I said, if you can hear me, and John was just waiting on the other side patiently looking at me like I'd lost my mind, but they looked at me that way a lot. It's a familiar look. I see. I said, Mark, if you can hear me, squeeze my hand. And he squeezed my hand, and John went, no. He said, no, the doctor told us that's just seizure activity because of the probe in his forehead. Did not pay any attention, and I was like laser. I said, Mark, do it again. At this point, John's eyes were huge. John's eyes were huge. And as John was getting ready to run out of the room, I said, okay, Mark, one more time. One more time he did it. John sprinted out of the room to go get Mark's mom because she said she didn't go in there. She didn't want to see him, but she told me she was afraid of dead people. And I just thought, whoosh, it went right over my head. I thought, oh, she's always been kind of different. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. I didn't want to hear it. And you know what? I had proclaimed the night before to Mark's mom and dad and to the aunts and uncles that were sitting there. I said, listen, I know they want you to turn off the machines. I know they want you to sign off all of his organs for transplant and all that. I said, but let me tell you, as crazy as it sounds, I believe Mark's going to walk out of here in a couple of days. And he's going to be fine. He's not going to be brain dead. He's not going to be a vegetable. He's not going to be a cripple. He's going to be okay. And when it happens, you know, it was my God that did it. What a radical statement. That was where I was right then. That was my lingo. Say God, source, great spirit, love, Jesus, however you want to say it. You hear me? This is real. I went back to see Mark a couple of days and then I didn't go. Well, actually, I didn't go for a few days. I received a phone call from Mark. He said, hey, Marguerite, I'm going home today. I'd like you to come and walk with me out of the hospital. And so I did. We walked out of the hospital together, and his parents had the car at the end of the sidewalk. They tried to make him sit in a wheelchair, and he refused. He dragged his left leg a little bit. He's blind in his left eye and deaf in his left ear. He has a glass eye. You'd never know it. And he had to learn how to write again with his right hand. But you see him, you would never know any of that ever happened. He recovered so fast. That's impossible, beloved. I thought he had still just been in a coma. I just thought it was an amazing healing. And then several years back, and it had been a lot of years at that point, he and I were talking on the phone one day. I was sitting right over there at the top of the stairs, and I said, Mark, you remember that time you were in that awful coma after that terrible car accident, and God healed you? And he said, I said, wait, what? What are you hesitating for? He said quietly, Marguerite, I wasn't in a coma. I said, yes, you were. You were on a machine. You were out of it. He said, Marguerite, when I walked out of the hospital that day with you by me, they gave me my death certificate because they didn't know what else to do with it. He said, I was dead. They had never been able to resuscitate me. It's still hard for me to wrap my head around it. This is real. I'm not just talking. We don't have to suffer. We just need to wake up and realize the beautiful truth. Sorry, I gotta recover from what I just talked about. It's hitting me really hard right now. That kind of stuff is amazing, and I've seen so much of it that I sort of take it for granted sometimes, but sometimes it hits me, like right now. And Mark is still alive. We texted one another about a month ago. I told him I'd been in a car wreck. I figured if anyone understood, he would. And he was very kind. You know, he's a year older than me. I'm 64, so he must be 65. And that happened, I think I was in my late 20s. That's when it happened, soon after we had divorced. This is real, beloved. There's power in your words. There's power in your intentions. There's great power in your love. Because faith, hope, that thing, faith is kind of nebulous. It's got all these religious things attached to it, but basically, it is that something you that knows that it knows that it knows that something is possible and is true. Faith works by love. That's what the Bible says. Love is the key. It really is. It's not just a pretty song from the 60s and 70s. Love is the bottom line. It is the key that makes everything work. When you know that you're loved, when you understand that our Creator is love, God is love. That's another scripture. It's a direct quote. God is love. When you realize that, and you know that you are loved just like you are, and that all the other stuff you've been told was not true, and that it was so serious that the Son of Man, Yeshua, was sent to show us that love. So when he was busy reaching out to people and hanging out with tax collectors who were despised and hanging out with drunks and prostitutes and showing them the love of God, and people were accusing him of being a wicked person for hanging out with these people, he was just showing who our Heavenly Parent really is. And he said, if you have seen me, you have seen our Heavenly Father, our Heavenly Parent. This is the truth. This works by love. Love is not a fluffy, ooey-gooey word. And I could show you, I have an old dictionary from the 40s that belonged to my mentor. He was an old man. He left here in 1996 at 88 years of age. And this is an old dictionary. The definition of love in it is very different than what is in a modern dictionary. They have made love sappy, kind of sicky sweet and emotional, selfish in many cases, all about our own lust and desires and feelings, when love is something you do. Love is something you choose. Yes, your emotions may very well follow, but love means you love that person so much that you want the very best for them. You're not going to lie to them or tell them something they're doing or getting ready to fall off a cliff. You're not going to say that's okay. You're going to say to them what you would want to be said to you if you understood what was happening. Love cares about others to the point, oh, Chipper, hold on a minute, y'all. This is terrible. Oh, come here, little baby. Come here. Come here. Come on. Let me get you. No, no, no. Lizard. And I'm going to set it free real quick. This is love, okay? I'll be right back. Chipper's just being a cat. He doesn't mean anything by it. Okay. Wow. Severe thunderstorm warning is an alert. I can't get it off my phone. There we go. It's gone. Well, that may be the first time a lizard has ever been rescued from a pet cat on live chat before. Oh my goodness. Well, the lizard is okay now. Well, I think this is a good time for me to start shutting up. Let's do the heart-brain coherence together, shall we? And a lot of you stayed with me, and I'm so grateful. I want to say everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be all right. There are crazy things happening in the news. There are crazy things happening in politics. There are crazy things happening in countries all over the world. There are crazy things happening in our families and in our lives every day. But you know what? There is wisdom and love guiding and leading, and we get to work with that and flow with that. We're making a difference. So I'm going to just go ahead and say it before we do the heart-brain coherence, which will only take us about 3 minutes. And it may turn you totally around from where you are right now. Symptoms, physical pain, etc. Shumanites, thank you for holding that high frequency of divine, unconditional love. We are changing our world. We're not going through all this for nothing. We're going someplace really good. We're going to 5D. And we are a part of bringing it. Okay, touch your heart area. This is so simple, but wow, it's powerful. Don't be surprised if you feel incredible bliss and love and connectedness, oneness with one another and with Source. And if you find that your anxiety, your heart rhythm goes back into place, don't be surprised. All you need to do is think of something you're really grateful for. Take the time right now. Think of something, one thing you're very, very grateful for. Or pick of 3 things. Make it simple. I'm thankful for you all. I'm thankful for my beautiful little pets. They make my life so bright. And I'm more grateful than anything for the day of my spiritual awakening. Or I wouldn't be here. Got it? Now, imagine you're breathing in and out from your heart. Breathe in to the heart area and out from the heart area. Let's do it one more time. And out. This brings your focus here to the heart. Now think of what it is you're very grateful for. Let yourself feel it. Just think about it. And let us, it'll only take 3 minutes. And I will let you know when the 3 minutes is up. All right? Let us begin. Thinking about something you're very grateful for. Shift. There it was. That's good. Now, if you can tell a difference right now than what you felt like when we started, whether it's emotionally or physically or however, I'd love to hear about it. Love you all. Talk to you soon. Hang in there. Hang in there. And Chipper is here. Well, come on. Come up here so everybody can see you. He loves the heart brain coherence meditation. There they are. Look up at the camera. Okay. All right. Love you very much. Mwah.